neighbor, it's 7 on Sunday. I know I've said that many times before, but unlike the accusations we're investigating today, it's not plagiarism. Copyright laws have many gray areas, and lawyers are always looking to expose those weaknesses for their clients' benefit. That's led to some high-profile court battles over whether or not certain songs plagiarize the melody, composition, or lyrics of another writer's material. In this video, I'm focusing on the songs that actually lost, either in copyright court or in the court of public opinion. So sit back, tap that like button, and let's dive in. Leave it to the Gallaghers to find themselves tangled up in a lawsuit with a multinational beverage corporation over songwriting credits. Britpop was about to explode as Oasis and Blur put out two massive albums in 1994, with the former including the song Shakermaker on the debut record Definitely Maybe. Coca-Cola was the beverage giant standing on their shoulders, claiming, "You ripped off our commercial jingle from the 70s, now give us 500,000. Oasis was quickly becoming a household name in the UK, so it's not exactly shocking they went after them. What's shocking is that Noel Gallagher fully admitted to ripping off the jingle originally performed by the New Seekers.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. I'd like to be somebody else.
Two doses of irony for you here. One, Shakermaker is the only Oasis single from their heyday to not be certified platinum or gold, and number two, Oasis lent their song Whatever to a Coke ad in 2012. People definitely noticed Shakermaker's similarity to I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing, and so did Coke, with judges later ruling in the company's favor, forcing Oasis to pay up royalty money and alter the song's composition. Surfin USA. Brian Wilson's innate gift for melody rarely went to waste on the Beach Boys' best material. They paddled into surf rock perhaps a bit too boldly, as their leading man failed to credit the legendary Chuck Berry when writing the Beach Boys' 1963 hit Surfin USA. This likely wouldn't have been a big deal had Wilson's legal team approached Berry's with an offer to split the royalties. Instead, Berry's publisher ARC Music threatened to sue over the obvious theft. Way down in New Orleans, all the cats wanna dance with you. All over Manhattan, and down Bohemian Way. The Beach Boys' publisher was able to settle out of court, although the full copyright to Surfin' USA was given to Chuck Berry by Brian's own father/manager Murray Wilson. Most artists get saltier than the Dead Sea when accused of plagiarism, but Brian Wilson owned up to his songwriting snafu and continued celebrating Berry as the rock and roll icon he is. The Flaming Lips are championed for being the mad scientists behind decades of eccentric consistency. When Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots came out in 2002, it quickly became one of their most acclaimed and successful albums, even catching the ear of Cat Stevens, aka Yusuf Islam. The Lips' single Fight Test was called into question by Stevens, specifically accusing the band of ripping off his 1970 classic Father and Son.
You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. I thought I'll just step aside and at the time would prove you wrong.
The melodic similarities are undeniable, but as Wayne Coyne put it, there was a time during the recording when we said, this has a similarity to Father and Son, then we purposefully changed those bits. Their frontman genuinely seemed upset after the court ruling landed, telling reporters, "I am really sorry that Cat Stevens thinks I'm purposefully plagiarizing his work. I am ashamed." Both are excellent songs with familiar vibes, but not to the point where I think they should be coughing up an alarming 75% of the song's royalties. Apple's hit series Ted Lasso curiously closed out the series with these songs played back to back, perhaps as a silent 20 years later protest, or maybe just as an ironic method of showing the viewer how life sometimes unintentionally imitates art.
À midi.
Quelle heure est-il?
Il est midi.
C'est l'heure de déjeuner.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a à manger?
As hip-hop rose to prominence in the late 80s, listeners were treated to rhymes built on the base of almost constant sampling. Samples were a gray area back then, but it didn't take long for the record labels to get involved and make sure they got every penny they were due for these often small, chopped up samples. The death of sampling is often tied to the case of De La Soul, a rap collective whose producer Prince Paul made the audacious decision to sample 12 whole seconds of the Turtles' 1968 song You Showed Me on the album interlude transmitting live from Mars.
You showed me how to do exactly what you do.
Mars came from De La's classic 3 Feet High and Rising in 1989, with the Turtles' lawsuit brought on by members Howard Kalin and Mark Volman alleging theft with intent to profit. Here's the juicy twist: the Turtles didn't even write the song they were suing over. You Showed Me was a cover of a 1964 single by the Byrds, so tell me how it makes sense that they successfully sued De La Soul for $1.7 million. De La Soul claimed they never paid anything close to that amount for the copyright loss, but a dangerous precedent was still set, making it much harder for artists to clear their samples without paying a high price. Madonna, at her peak, completely changed the face of American culture. For decades, her albums flew off of shelves, the music videos became staples of the MTV generation, and her openness with sexuality liberated a new generation of women who killed off the idea of sex being something inherently dirty. While she faced plenty of dumb backlash in the US of A, other countries were even less accepting, with the legendary Lebanese singer Fairuz nearly taking Madonna to court over her album and single Erotica in 1992. Fairuz is considered a national icon in the Arab world, and Madonna's 2-time sampling of her traditional hymn in the background of Erotica didn't go over well. Her vocals from the 60s hymn, Today He Is Held to a Cross, were used in the background without permission, so it's understandable why a lawsuit was threatened, but ultimately, who really cares when the song slaps as hard as it does? Well, I guess Lebanon's government did, as they responded harshly by completely banning Madonna's album Erotica in the country, as well as the single, the music video, everything. So to any of my Lebanese viewers out there, I would love to hear your thoughts.
The hottest bitch in this place. I feel so lucky. You wanna hug me? What rhymes with hug me?
The estate of the late great Marvin Gaye has overstepped legal boundaries in pursuit of millions, bringing several copyright cases against artists like Ed Sheeran, who ultimately prevailed, or Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams, who did not. Blurred Lines was an inescapable #1 hit in 2013. The Gaye family caught wind of the similarities to Marvin's 1977 song Got to Give It Up and immediately filed a lawsuit, resulting in a years-long back-and-forth battle that ultimately ruled in the estate's favor.
Okay, now he was close. Tried to domesticate you, but you're an animal.
This damning late 2018 decision awarded them $5.3 million USD, with the funds ordered to be paid by Thicke, Williams, and their respective publishers. I guess T.I. was the only one that dodged a bullet.
Sweet Lord, hallelujah.
By far, the biggest case on my list is George Harrison versus the Chiffons, the legal battle that started in 1971 and lasted through 1998. George was of course a Beatle, but during the final years of that run, he began writing tracks for other artists and blossoming his own solo career. My Sweet Lord came from those early sessions, with Harrison originally giving the song to Billy Preston in 1969 before releasing his own now iconic version the following year. The song was a roaring success, the biggest of his solo years, but trouble arrived quickly as the ex-Beatles stared down the barrel of a massive lawsuit from the Chiffons' publisher, Bright Tunes Music.
I really wanna see you. Really wanna feel.
Ronnie Mack was the writer of the Chiffons' hit single, but passed away shortly after it became a #1 hit in the early 60s. Harrison's version also reached #1, attracting the lawsuit from the late Mack's publisher, who were among the first to attempt this kind of case. Harrison confessed his familiarity with He's So Fine under oath, but also protested, telling the jury he was instead inspired by Oh Happy Day by the Edwin Hawkins Singers. His continued appeals fell on deaf ears as the judge's original ruling stood. The songs were virtually identical, and the singer-songwriter had subconsciously plagiarized He's So Fine. I hear it, but it doesn't tarnish the song, and I think George himself said it best in 1998. I don't feel guilty or bad about it. I know the motive behind writing the song, and its effect far exceeded the legal hassle. You watched until the end, so thank you so much for watching. To support our work on this show, please hit that like button, subscribe, share it out, and become a member today by tapping join down below. Another episode of SOS you'll enjoy is above me, and I'll see you next time.